Afghanistan and Iraq. Yeah, so in July, myself and 2 other members of Veterans for Peace turned up at Downing Street and discarded our medals in response to the militarism within this country. Today, other veterans have decided that in direct response to the bombing of Syria, that they wanted to come here today and discard their medals.
We had 1,000 bomber raids over Germany, night after night. That didn't defeat Germany. The Russian army and the American and British defeated Germany. The Nazis bombed Britain relentlessly. My hometown of Hull was practically destroyed. That didn't stop us from fighting. In Vietnam, the Americans dropped more bombs in Vietnam than were dropped in the whole of the Second World War. Thousands and thousands of tons of bombs. That did not, they lost the war. Bombing does not win wars. Bombing creates opposition. Bombing strengthens the resistance. The people of London were bombed remorselessly during the Second World War. What did they say? They said Hitler, it strengthened their resolve, it created resistance. And every time we drop a bomb in the Middle East, we create more jihadis, more fanatics, more people who where does it all come from? Where's this IS? Where does it come from? Out of nowhere. It's come because we've been bombing indiscriminately in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in various other places, and every time we drop a bomb and we kill people, then brothers and uncles and fathers, and what do? They say, right, these are my enemies. People who didn't regard as the enemy come to regard as the enemy. They joined us. Whoever is fighting against us is their friend. And that's the rise of Islamic radicalism, jihadism. It's a result of British and American bombing. America and Israel have ignored more United Nations resolutions than all the other countries in the world put together. Every time they're told to do something, they must do this, they ignore it because they can get away with it. So, who are the criminals?
We are here today in protest of the decision to bomb in Syria and to return medals given to us for our participation in previous attacks in the Middle East.
These medals were given to me for my service in the military, which is controlled by the government, who last week voted for and joined in the bombing of Syria. Innocent, vulnerable, sentient beings are being killed, men, women and children. We cannot sow bloodshed and reap peace. I no longer require these medals.
That is why I throw these medals back. What if every soldier past and present did this?
My name's Ben Griffin, but I'm here today in place of our fellow veteran Dave Smith. Dave was disabled during his service in the army, and he's asked me to come here today, discard his medals and read the state. The only beneficiaries of war and armed conflict are the arms manufacturers, large corporations and banking elites. I therefore return my medals as a mark of protest, along with those of my father who was like-minded. My prayers are for all those who will suffer as a result of the bombing. War solves nothing. I reject the notion completely. My dad, Morris, served in Palestine, Malaya and Cyprus. He felt guilt every time he saw anything on the news about the conflict in Palestine. He would turn the TV off. He never got over his experience of war. I'm returning his medals also.
My name is Daniel Lennon. I served in the Royal Air Force between 2002 and 2014. I'm here to relinquish these tokens of militarism. This is a token I received for the occupation and invasion of Iraq. This is a medal I received for the destruction and devastation of Libya. I'm here today to show my utter contempt and disgust at the government's decision to once again attack in the Middle East. And I can think of no better way of doing that than by relinquishing these tokens of militarism. If you look close enough at these medals, you can see the reflections of dead Iraqis. You can see the embers of Libya. and you can see the faces of the men and women of the British Armed Forces who didn't return, and also those who did, with lost limbs and shattered souls. I no longer require these medals. We are veterans for peace. Our members have fought in every war since World War II. I would just like to leave you with this simple message. We do not believe that war is a solution to the problems of the 21st century.
When I talk about terrorists killed, you're also including the families, the women and children, and men who aren't involved in Daesh or ISIS. They're going to be killed too. Infrastructure is going to be completely wiped out, whether that's oil infrastructure, electricity, buildings, homes. It's going to cause utter destruction in that country and make the situation much worse. We've seen it in Iraq, we've seen it in Libya, we've seen it in Afghanistan. If we look at Libya, you know, our most recent bombing campaign, and look at the state of that country now, what was once a functioning state is now overrun with all sorts of different groups, and it's a terrible place for people to live.
Some people will call you unpatriotic. What would you respond to that?
I'm a human being. I have no allegiance to any country. I'm a citizen of the world.
Do you think the sentiment that you're expressing is held by more people than perhaps are brave enough to go to the streets of to the doors of Downing Street and take off their medals? Do you think there's other military personnel who secretly express the same fears, the same concerns, but just perhaps aren't willing to say them out loud?
Of course. At the start of November we had 200 veteran members in our organisation. Over the last month, after our action at the Cenotaph and also the promotion of this action today, we've had 75 veterans join us in the last 3 weeks. Our organisation is growing. We've had people join who are still serving.
If you were still members of the armed forces, how would you behave? Would you refuse to serve in this, or what would you do?
Well, I was serving in Iraq in 2005. My job was to attack families in their homes, and I refused to continue serving, and I was discharged from the army. Others of in our organisation have refused deployments to Afghanistan and done prison time. So, you know, I would say to people in the military, you know, search your conscience and do the right thing.
I was going to say, what is your message to those RAF pilots who might be taking off for the next 24 hours to go on more bombing raids on Syrian targets?
I've got a message for the British public. You know, we've got no trust in the government to do the right thing. The government in this country will not do the right thing. So it's up to the public to do the right thing. If you work in an arms factory, walk out. If you're filling up fighter planes ready to bomb Syria, stop it. And if you're flying missions over Syria, don't release the bombs. It's a matter of conscience. Cool.
Bravo!
We're not trying to tell the Syrian people how to sort their problems out, okay? What I would say is that there are many countries, Turkey, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Britain, America, France, endless countries involved in that conflict, and those countries need to stop. They need to stop arming people, they need to stop bombing people, they need to stop buying the oil from IS, they need to stop backing up Assad's regime. It needs a truce. People need to stop the fighting. There won't be a solution until the fighting stops. Britain has just added to the problem.
Where did you fight? Where did you fight?
I was served in Northern Ireland, Yugoslavia, Afghanistan and Iraq.
Your name is?
Ben Griffin. But they weren't my medals that I discarded today. I discarded my medals in July in another protest. Those are the medals of Dave Smith and his father, Maurice Smith. Dave was disabled during his service in the military and was unable to come here today, and he asked me if I would do that for him.
Thank you.
Today, other veterans have decided that in direct response to the bombing of Syria, that they wanted to come here today and discard their medals. The veterans who discarded their medals today have served in Iraq, Afghanistan and the bombing of Libya. And they've seen firsthand the outcomes of those attacks. The families killed, the homes destroyed, the infrastructure destroyed, and governments made useless. And that's why they come here today in direct response to the British government's decision to bomb Syria.
And what do you hope to happen? What would you like to see happen now?
Well, Well, as far as I'm concerned, the government is not going to change its decision. We've got no trust in the government to do the right thing. What we're saying is this is now a matter of conscience, and people who are working in any way to enable the attacks on Syria need to stop. If you're working in an arms factory making bombs, walk out. If you're filling up fighter planes to go and bomb Syria, stop it. And if you're flying missions over Syria, don't release the bombs. This is a matter of individual conscience. You need to search your conscience and decide whether you're doing the right thing. And if you think you're not doing the right thing, you need to stop.
Do you have a message for the British public?
Yeah, the British public as well, they're part of that. Many of us support the military, many of us support these attacks in all sorts of different ways. And people need to find out and think about how they're supporting those attacks and stop carrying out those actions. Also, there will be many protests coming up over the coming months, and I would say to people, you know, if you feel strongly about the attacks in Syria, to join those protests, join the anti-war movement, join Veterans for Peace, and you know, we will work to prove to this country, maybe not for Syria, but maybe for the next time, that war is not the solution to the problems of the 21st century.
And what other solutions, you know, for the next time do you want to see happen? What else can we do?
What we're saying is, whilst we rely on the military, whilst we rely on violence, we ignore all the other possible solutions. It's up for diplomats and politicians and cleverer people than me to work out what that is. What we're saying is that war and attacking and military violence is not going to help. We've seen that in Iraq, and I'll tell you what will happen in Syria. We will create more refugees, we will radicalise more people, we will destroy infrastructure, and we will make that country unbearable to live in. And it will take many years to repair the damage that we are now doing.
Thank you.
No problem.